As the clock on the wall begins to chime, I'm going to go ahead and begin. We've got quite a bit of content that we want to get through this morning. So good morning to everybody with us. My name is Mitch Steves. I am the founding owner and president of Simply Paperless. Our company was founded in February 2014. We're very excited to be moving into our 10th year of operation this coming February. Certified ECM specialist, and that stands for Electronic Content Management. The organization that I'm certified with is AIM.org, the Global Community of Information Professionals. A very, very good resource for anyone at the beginning, in the middle of, or toward the end of any digital transformation effort is AIM.org. I suggest that you would jot that web address down, visit that site. A lot of free content, a lot of free course material, very sophisticated and mature global organization. What we're going to see today is an actual presentation of work performed within the county government space. It's really three pieces of a pretty impressive puzzle, if I do say so myself. The first piece is an award-winning electronic content management platform. The company that developed that back end is Square9 Softworks. Square9 is a US-based company. The software has been implemented more than 20,000 times globally. And what that means for anyone looking to invest in a platform to perform some of these functions that we've pulled off within the county here is that it is a very sophisticated and mature support infrastructure. So beyond just Simply Paperless, who we absolutely support but behind us is a very sophisticated and mature support infrastructure. The platform has a SQL database backend, which is highly compatible, and there is a lot of power in the tabling of data in SQL and how that data can be reutilized, and you will see that on display as we move forward this morning. We're going to be seeing work like completed applications that represent custom designs for city and county government that can be reutilized at substantial savings when compared to a ground-up approach. When Simply Paperless hit the market back in 2014, our scope was very broad. We had partnerships with other resellers. They were bringing a very broad array of different companies to us that were looking for help. So over the years, we've helped a lot of different verticals. And then Square9 came out with a relatively new ability, and that is to save the work, save the development, save the workflows, and reutilize those in other environments. And so when we looked at the lay of the land and the clients that we had helped, the government space was way on top of the list of different ways that we had helped a single organization, and we decided to make that an area of focus for us as we can reutilize a lot of the work done within the county. The second piece of that puzzle is a Fiserv payment integration. So Simply Paperless did the work to build a connector within the electronic form software that was developed by Square9 in place within Madison County. And we built the intellectual property that allows those forms to actually take credit card payment through Fiserv processors. It's reusable intellectual property that is very expensive to build separately. We are seeking to gain tiny fractions of our investment in that property, one county, one city at a time. All payment methods are accepted: credit, debit, e-check. And there is a lot of value in that Fiserv partnership beyond just the ability to take payments. So some of the reasons that we selected them to be the processor that we integrated with is that they were already a global leader in payments. And within that large company, they actually have a separate division within that company that is focused solely to government use. And any clients that we've put our partner Fiserv in front of has benefited from those conversations from a PCI compliance perspective. Managed service fees, so customer pays for processing and not the county. Fiserv manages all the costs and fees associated with the transaction. Comprehensive reporting provided at no cost. So the office, the business office within the county, really found that to be a really nice surprise, as it wasn't really a focused need when we started the work, but the deliverable happened to be better than expectations with respect to the back-end reporting. Tokenization is, so it's just an important term when it comes for taking payments as it pertains to PCI compliance. Provides clients a high level of security using secure tokens to store credit card data that never enters the client's environment. And it was with that in mind that we built our connector. Lastly, and what will be largely on display this morning, is a custom graphic user interface, or GUI in TechSpeak. That was developed over the last 10 years or so, working with the county. It's an overlay on top of that Square 9 platform. It's been customized for how small government works. It did greatly enhance user adoption. It combines otherwise separate components into a single platform, delivering nearly endless results. And how can I say that? Well, we've achieved a paperless human resource department. We've achieved a paperless road department, paperless animal shelter, a paperless asset management application, and new departments are added continually. And an important point that I like to make is that if one was to Google an application to help automate any of those different departments, one could easily find a lot of different options for separate applications for HR, road department, animal shelter, asset management, and so on. The downside of that, of course, is that each one of those has a separate and distinct acquisition cost, support cost, and a different look and feel. What you'll be looking at today is a single platform that's been customized to handle and deliver to each of these departments, and more are added nearly daily. So that is my end of the presentation. I want to, before I turn it over to the county, I want to thank each and every one of you for being involved today. I know it's difficult to find the time, but I think that you will find the time to be very worth it by the meeting's end. And with that, I'm going to introduce the Chief Information Officer with Madison County Fiscal Court, Chris Israel. And Chris, I am going to turn this over to you. And you should now be able to share your screen.
Perfect. Thanks, Mitch. Thanks for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. We're excited to be here with you this morning and kind of show you a little bit about how Madison County started using the Global Search product that Mitch was talking about, and kind of where we've developed it and kind of grown the platform into a specific platform that is good for local governments, county government, city government, however you want to look at it that way. We often spend a lot of time looking for software platforms to make our employees more efficient, make ourselves more transparent to our community. And what we found in our search was that they're either very expensive, they're very cumbersome, or they don't exactly achieve what you want to achieve. All of the people sitting on this call that know government is kind of its own animal, has its own distinct set of rules to follow and processes, and other people just don't understand how to get the government to be efficient. So we were able to use the Square 9 platform. Like Mitch said, we've had it running at some level for at least 8 to 9 years. We started out very small, so don't let what you see today scare you away from it, because we started very small. We started using it in our fiscal court meetings to archive and keyword search our minutes and agendas, and we talked a little bit about ordinances and resolutions. I'm sure every office has this same situation. We had an employee that was here many, many years. She knew where every file was in every filing cabinet. She knew why everything was done, and she knew the number to every ordinance, right? And we all get a little scared of when that person decides to retire, of how you're going to find that information efficient and quickly, and really for us, make it efficient, because going through a filing cabinet is not efficient, right? So in steps the global search product, which you guys can see on our screen. So Madison County started first with that, fiscal court meetings. Let's archive our minutes. Let's archive the agendas. I need to be able to find out when that citizen calls what the ordinance number was for a barking dog, because we all know that's what they call for, right? I need to go find those resolutions about those things. I'm looking for an employee. I'm looking for this or whatever. I don't want to go back to the filing cabinet. I don't want to take up space with a filing cabinet. I want to do it on a computer, right? So that's where the county started, very small. So don't get excited by what we're going to see here and the totality of the product of what we've kind of developed, because like Mitch said, these tools can be reproduced very efficiently for other counties to reuse them without having to do the legwork, since a lot of it has already been done. So in the global search interface, you can see there's a web-based application. If there's any IT folks on the call, it is tied to the Madison County Active Directory. So county employees log in with the same logins that they use to log into their computer. And other platforms, it would be another username and another password. And we all know, at least as the IT guy, people cannot remember their passwords. We have apps with thousands of them in them, right? So that's another ease of use. Employees would be very comfortable logging into it because they use their same credentials that they use every day to get in their computer. On the left-hand side of it, you'll see all the archives. Now, we are very deep into the product, right? We've been using it for 10 years. And like Mitch says, every day there's somebody knocking on the door asking for, can I put this in global search? Can I do this? Can you build me a platform to do that? So what you see here is the breadth of what an administrator like I would see on the screen. Your employees would only see the things that pertain to them. So if they work in the sheriff's office, they would only see sheriff. If they worked in the county attorney, they would only see that, right? But you'll see, as me, everything. Now, what is global search? What we kind of call it is the electronic filing cabinet. So each one of these archives just represents a drawer, right? And then inside that drawer, there are folders or files, whatever there may be. And you can see in there, when I click down onto this black folder here, here's the folders that are inside that filing cabinet drawer, right? Now I go back to the drawer and you'll see everything. So what I kind of just show you first, because I think this is where a lot of people will get started, and it's the best place to get started, is if you've got ordinances, resolutions, minutes and agendas, those kinds of things. Our employees who have access, it is all granular, right? So you can assign it by individual users or groups of users or by departments, however you guys see fit. You'll fit the cybersecurity business model by saying we can assign permissions by business need to know. So folks that do not need to see these things do not get access. Folks that need to see it can. And you can provide different, like read only or modify and edit or annotate. All those kinds of things are in there. But our employees that have access to this record can come in here and click the magnifying glass. And you can build customized searches to do all kinds of things. But by default, we'll use this one. And you can see if I know the meeting date, if I know the meeting type, or if I know the document type, I can search specifically by those things. And then we'll come back and I'll show you the keyword search in just a second. But I just want to show you kind of what it looks like when I just hit run search. I just want to see everything that's there, but you can't do this with a filing cabinet. I guess you can. You can rip all the drawers open and throw the files everywhere, but probably not a great idea, right? So now you're looking into my electronic filing cabinet inside the drawer for fiscal court records. Now, keep in mind, these are not the official records, because we all know those go to our city clerks or county clerks to be actually book and paged and put away appropriately. But this is how Madison County at least lets its employees easily access and content search. For those counties that use eClicks for their clerk, you know, that sometimes trying to find that documentation can be a little cumbersome, trying to search and really find what you're looking for. You have to know what book and page really to find things. This system allows us to search by keywords or whatever fields we've indexed by to find that information. So you'll see across the top there, my individual folders: agendas, minutes, vendor claims, budget transfers, advance payments is something that Madison County does that's a little unique, addendums, and treasury reports. So our staff have the ability to pop back in here and see the minutes, see the agendas, whatever they may do. And by clicking on these tabs, you can kind of float through here and see these. Now, if you're just popping in here real quick, you could just open this up and just click it if you knew it was the top one, right? Let's say you're looking for something, but you don't exactly know where it would be in there. Let's say you're looking for an agenda or something with my name in it. And we won't get too far into the weeds. The keyword box is very, very powerful. There are lots of short keys and annotations you can put in front of or in between letters to make the search more powerful. That's not for today's webinar, so we're just going to type Israel. And as you can tell, nobody can spell my name right. It's in there as I-S-E-R-A-L, I-S-R-E-A-L, I-S-R-A-E-L. It's in there 42 different ways, right? And obviously when you do a keyword search with this manner, it's going to look at it directly. But there are functions built into this that would allow me to search any iteration of IS something, right? So just keep that in the back of your mind. My name is very difficult to spell. It's spelled wrong multiple ways. This is only going to return the things with it spelled this way, but there are tools in there that will help you do that. So we would just click run search. It's going to look through all of these through what's called an OCR text search, which means it actually reads the words inside the document. And you can see right here, we've added a new column, hits. Hits means how many times that word that you typed in keyword actually shows up inside that document. This first minutes from 2015 in here has my name in there 3 times. You got an agenda that's in here, all these kinds of things. Obviously, they don't know how to spell my name very good, but it did do that. So we'll open up the minutes here. And this one's got 3 hits on it. We'll just open it up. What it's going to do is open up a new window, and you'll be able to click in here and see. So here are the actual minutes. And it will highlight my name yellow for every place that it found it. So if you're looking for barking dog, you're looking for solid waste, whatever it may be, and you can see here, Chris Israel was highlighted in yellow, and that was the first hit. So very powerful. And right here, it tells you that was the first iteration of 3 that were found in the document. You can click through, there's the second one, and then there's the third time my name was mentioned. You can email this document right from here. You can print the document right from here. You can download the document right from here. And subsequent to later webinars, you could annotate it, which means if my social security number or something was in there, you could blacken that out. Or if there was something they didn't need to see, then you can send that document to whoever you're trying to with those annotations attached, or the exclusions that you have provided there. So very powerful to be able to type in there. So these things all pertain to the minutes. We actually have another folder. Like I said, when we open up our drawer and we get down in here, now we have deeds, we have contracts, we have board appointments that we keep track of, and we have ordinances and resolutions. We have financial records. We have all kinds of things. And again, these are things that you will dictate that you want. It's not me sitting down or Mitch sitting down to Simply Paperless and telling you what to put in there. You can build this system to do what you do today, just do it electronically, because nobody likes to reinvent the wheel, right? So we can look at ordinances real quick. Browse, same thing. If I know the number, great, I could type it in there. If I know a word in the description, this is a like box. It doesn't have to match exactly. And again, these things are configurable. The ordinance description for us is just like. So if it says dog in the description and I type dog, if dog is anywhere in that description, then it'll pull it back. Ordinance statuses, you can say, are they amended, current, expired, repealed, or rejected? Those are just statuses that Madison County uses. If your county uses a different word, great, you build that in there and it will do that for you, or you can take ours, doesn't matter. And then again, we have the keyword search for anything you want to find. So my favorite is dog because it's the one that everybody talks about the most. We will type dog in there and it'll go through and text search, again, every word in the document to find the word dog that exists inside this file folder. So we found 43 documents that have dog attached to it at some level. And obviously we're going to go to the one that has it on there the most, I would say. So you can see here that we have a joint government dog control ordinance from 1976, where it is mentioned, dog is mentioned 61 times. We have another document where it's 53, 51, 29. You can see this all here. Same thing, you can open this document up and you can kind of kick through all of the different iterations of the word dog that are found in there to hopefully find out if that's a document that you need. So it's very powerful when it comes to being able to find documents, find them quick, and move through them. So that's a little bit about what the fiscal court kind of did. I'm trying to get my email up over here. Go right here. There we go. Nope. All right. So there's that one. We do the same thing with resolutions. I don't think we won't go through and go through each one of these, but just so you can kind of see, resolutions is the same way. There's 806 resolutions. We actually had an intern come back through and go through the documentation and drag and drop and index these. Madison County started first by indexing paper. So when the minutes were actually typed up or the ordinance was actually physically typed up, it'd be printed off, signed, and then scanned back into the computer. Global Search would pick it up automatically, and you would index the things you wanted to index, and then you would drop it in there. Through the resolution or revolution of this whole system, we've now automated that. So we have a fiscal court meeting. All the paperwork gets signed by the appropriate officials. That paperwork comes back with our administrative assistant. She takes that, She drops all that in a copier and hits go. And she hits global search, and it does everything for her. It goes to index the resolution number, it indexes the descriptions, it pulls everything off of the paper that I've told it to pull off, and automatically does all of this for us and puts it in the system. So our folks are no longer actually manually indexing and putting data into the system. They're just taking the paper, dropping it right in there, or the electronic document and dropping it right in there. So you can see all of that. So that's a little bit about fiscal court records. I think where people get excited, or at least where we got excited, was this was no longer just a fiscal court or a county department or a city department product. We took it to our county clerk and said, hey, let's do a little deal here. You pay a little bit of the maintenance with me, and you guys can use this. And our clerk was like, yeah, I'm excited. I like technology. I like software to be more efficient. I don't think he really realized what he was getting into. His employees over there in the bookkeeping or finance office could not operate on a daily basis without this system. They spend all of their time inside of Global Search, and they use it daily. And the time they have saved is unbelievable. So we have the same thing here. You can click on the magnifying glass and browse their bookkeeping folder. And inside of there, you can see now we have the county clerk's office. I screwed up, didn't hit the right button there. They have all these different folders here: purchase orders, quarterly reports, daily checkups, bank recs. They put all of this information into Global Search. Now they don't have to go to a filing cabinet to find their data. They do it on their fingertips. So if somebody calls and says, hey, I want this, boom, there it is. The next step of that will make a lot of people excited is the Madison County Clerk's Office was the first office in the state to have an electronic audit, and they did it through Global Search, and we did it in COVID. So during COVID, they called and said, we need to do this office audit. We're going to need you to print all this documentation and leave it or whatever it may be, right? We were like, hey, wait a minute. There's a better way to do that. We have this whole system. So we set up an account on our system called clerk.auditor, gave them the web link. We set up a specific search that showed every document was inside the date range that they needed to see. But all they had to do was log into Global Search, and they can right click on it, and they can say, hey, I want to see it. Let's see if they're there. Hey, look at there. It's called Clerk Audit, right? And on the back end, our administrative team set the credentials, not the credentials, but the parameters for the query to exactly what they needed to see. So that auditor was able to get in here from Frankfurt or wherever they were, log in and be able to see every document they're supposed to see through the time period. It was unbelievably efficient. It was fast. They were so happy they called back the next year and did it again. They've not come back since. They are still auditing through Global Search for us every year. They love it. It makes everything that they need right at their fingertips. It prevents all of the back and forth that a lot of you are probably very used to with these folks. Hey, I need to see this, I need to see that, all those kind of things. So as you're thinking through the process, as I'm showing you things, and you're thinking about how you can use this in your governments, keep that in mind. It could go beyond your own departments, and you can start to cost share these expenses with other agencies inside your government. So that's the county clerk. Pretty awesome. Another one we had was the county sheriff. They were using handwritten receipts for anything that they did out of their office. If you've ever looked at how much those things cost, I don't know what they cost now because we haven't used them in a while, but the tri-paper receipts that they were handwriting and then filing away and they could never find, very expensive to do. They do all of this now electronically through a global form that we'll show here in just a little bit. When they sell something through their system, it shows up, they fill it out, they get an email and receipt, they can print it off if they really want to, but we really discourage that. But you can see right here, all of these things that they've done through here, and they use this thing daily. There's 1,163 different receipts in here at this point. I don't think we'll show anything that's private here, but so you can pull this document. Again, you can keyword search. So this can get emailed right to the customer, right through the system, or it could be printed off if they so choose. Gets a receipt number and the values, and then we can do all our reporting on the back end through that, which is very, very, very nice. Makes you very efficient, right? So that's great. You're like, Chris, that's awesome, man. How did you get to where you are today? So we started there. If you look into my department, I do all my phone billing through there. We host a phone system for our other agencies. I do all the billing, so all those invoices are in here. All that kind of stuff is stored inside the Global Search platform, which makes, like Mitch said, the one tool for somebody to use. It looks the same every time. Everybody loves it. I think for Madison County, at this point, we had employees using it, administrative level people. we started to roll it down to departments. And what we found was it was hard for the departments to kind of adopt because it is very, I don't know that it's hard to use, but there are a lot of tricks and tips to it that an average employee probably just doesn't want to mess with on a daily basis or makes them feel like they're a little longer. So we started thinking, how do we make this better? Well, along comes this product called Global Forms, which then sits on top of this Global Search product. And what that is an online electronic form. So now you can actually collect the data from the citizens or the employees through a form, and that data gets put automatically into your filing cabinet. Takes a whole step out of it, right? Well, the first thing we wanted to tackle, which probably everybody on this call dislikes, is hiring people, right? The process in which you have to get an application, you either take them by paper, they got to bring them by to you, you got to schedule interviews, you got to, make sure and call their references, you got to read their cover letters, they got to send all that stuff to you, you got to figure out where to put it. It's very difficult to go through that process the way we used to do it, at least, and probably most of the way some of you guys are doing it. It's very hard. So the first place we started was what was called hire to retire, which is a term noted by Global Search. They actually, Square Nine, they actually kind of coined the term hire to retire. So how could they put this whole process into play so that it's all automated? Well, we started it and said, hey, let's roll with it, right? So we're doing it. We do it today. Anybody that wants a job inside Madison County comes online and files for it. Now, you say, yeah, that's great. Everybody can do that, right? Yeah, they can. But let me tell you what our employees do. So our supervisors, department heads, can come into here and say, now mind you, I got lots of buttons over here, so don't get scared. But because I'm the administrator, I have all of the options here. So I just want to make sure that I click on the right ones, which I'm not going to do because that's just how it rolls. This is the one below it. Yeah, I can't ever get in the right ones. I actually can come here as a department head and say, I'm going to request a job posting. So what I do, this list is pre-populated by our HR team through this system to say, here's all the jobs I have that are available for department heads to hire. We'll see if there is a, there we go, GIS coordinator, right? He's going to be hired in the information technology department, pulls it in. All of this data is controlled by HR, their title, their salary, the summary of their job. I get to choose what days I want it posted on the website. I get to choose the people on my interview committee, and I hit submit. Our HR team gets an email, they get an alert to go through here. And again, let me just go through here real quick and click it. Job posting request. So if I had posted for that job, really, it would show up here for our HR team to approve. They will click on it, review it, see all the data I submitted, they approve it. The moment she hits approve on that form, it shows up on the county's website. And here you can see this. The hourly rate is put on there, the position summary. They can apply or click details. So if we want to, we can come down here and just look at animal control details. And what you get here actually is allows the citizen or whoever's applying for the job to download a copy of the actual job description and click on the link or print it off. They can zoom if they want to. Obviously, we need to do a little work on this window here, but as you can see, they actually have access to download that job description as it sits today. And again, that is controlled on the fly through this system. You're able to actually your HR department can actually attach those job descriptions to these, so everything is there. You're not doing it every time, because for us, every time somebody was putting up a new job, we were trying to find their job description and post it. No more of that, right? So now you've got this whole hire to retire system. So our folks come online, we do a Facebook post, whatever it may be, hey, we're hiring. They come to our employment tab, or they go to the jobs site, whatever we call it. Boom, they can apply for these jobs right here. If they click apply, they're going to pull up our electronic global form. So you've heard me say global forms a couple times already this morning. This is a real live global form. It is our entire application. Like Mitch said earlier, this whole form could be regenerated easily for any county government or city government that wants to use this system. Basically, you can make a copy of the form, you make the modifications that you guys need. If you're asking different information, you can do that. We spent a lot of time whittling this down really tight to make sure that we're only asking questions that are necessary. And the other thing that's important to notice about this, and I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but this system actually was built so that the job type, there's one of 3 job types. And based on the job type that you have is the questions that are asked. We're asking department head level supervisor applicants different questions than we're asking, or additional questions, not different, but additional questions than we're asking say a road laborer, right? A road laborer is never going to submit a CV. They're never going to submit a letter, a cover letter, and they're probably never going to have a resume. It's just the type of jobs that they are, right? So actually, when those positions get created, they get assigned a type by the county, type 1, 2, or 3, and based on the type, they get set a different set of questions. So when that user comes to this form, based on the type of job they're applying for, which is seasonal road general laborer, we're asking pretty much the bare minimum here. We're not asking them to upload a cover letter. We're not asking them to put up CVs or any other kind of letters. Basically, it's just their general information we need to know to put them through the process. Now, if we're hiring a department head, different story. We're going to want all kinds of stuff. So basically, they can step through this. I'm not going to step through it because you have to go through the whole thing and push every button, and nobody's got time for that, right? But basically, they fill this out, and again, this can be customized to your city or county, to the information that you need to collect. Let me get a drink of water. So that's that. They apply online, and what comes then is manage applicants. Our HR team and whoever is on the panel that's been selected to receive the notification gets an email, and it shows up in their table for the moment that they actually apply. So you can see a lot of these in here for Madison County. There are a bunch of them, right? We have EOC techs that are there, all that kind of stuff. The blue plus will drag down. You can see a little more detail about where their status is and all those kinds of things. So our next step is our department heads actually look at these, and the ones that they want to interview, they would schedule an interview. The ones that they don't want to see, they would decline. That does not send a letter on decline. It holds it till the actual process is completely over. Then once we actually hire through court, then it can go through and send a denial letter automatically to those folks. And then in the global search side of it that you saw in the first part, all that documentation is getting stored in the human resources filing cabinet, right? In one of these folders. So you can see here our applicants are here, and we'll click on this button. Search, again, you can do any of those kind of fancy search inside of your filing cabinet if you want to. But again, this is just showing the integration of the global search versus this GUI that we built to make this a little easier on our employees. So here you go. This system is actually pulling the data live from the global search electronic filing cabinet, okay? So all that's in here is now accessible and readable here. You can click view application. We won't go too far, but there you go. It's going to pull the document into global search, and our employees can actually read the actual application. The department head can take the appropriate step, push them through the process. We go through interviews. They schedule the interview with HR. That's all electronic. And then they get moved into this position to where they make a hiring recommendation. They fill out the global form with what they want to pay, who was on the committee, what their recommendation is. That paperwork goes to HR and our administrative team. That data is added onto the fiscal court agenda. That paperwork is dropped into the fiscal court packet for our magistrates. It could be the same way for a city, for your commission or whatever. That way, this nice, pretty form is in their packet, and they can see exactly who we've recommended to hire and all the steps we've taken to get to that point. Once they take the vote in court, our HR team actually is sitting in court with their tablet, with an iPad, at this screen, and the moment they say, approved, 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 vote's taken, she clicks hire, and that kicks off the next step, which then goes through a whole litany of things that we do to onboard our employees. So in Madison County, one of the steps that we do is called a system authorization form. Don't get scared by the term. It's a global form that we built that said, hey, when this guy comes on board and we're onboarding, here's the steps that we need to take to bring them on. They need access to a computer. They need access to these folders. They need access to keys. They need access to a cell phone. Whatever it may be is all on this systems authorization form that we built that could be reused for other counties and cities. And you step through the process, right? Once they get to that and they go through the system authorization form, which is just a global form, it comes back and it says, okay, it sends an email to the newly created account for that employee. What happens at that point is when they come and sit down and onboarding with our HR team, we do it once a week where we bring everybody in. I'm gonna open the link here out of my email. This one? Yeah. All right, so we're gonna click here. Hopefully I don't have one on file, right?
You might, but it's going to take like that time.
That's fine. So they'll log in with their new credentials, and here you get to see the employee onboarding portal. We don't do any paper on the onboarding process anymore. Zero. You don't bring us a paper application. You don't bring us paper resumes. You don't bring us paper anything. The only thing we do paper at this point is the actual interview itself, where team of people create their notes and kind of score. But we are working through making that electronic as well. But you can see here, it's pulled in, and this is what they see. Here are all the things, and you're probably gonna be like, wow, this is crazy. They start with the intake form, they put in their basic information. Who are you, what's your birth date, all those kind of things. Anything that we asked in the employment process gets pulled into this form about the employee. So they're not retyping their name. They're not retyping anything else. So they fill out the employee intake form, they put in their social security number or anything else that we need from them. Then they start through the government forms. They fill out the W-4. Again, they pull up the W-4, and all that information is going to get pulled in for them that they've already filled out. Now, I didn't fill it out, so they'll be excited. I would have to fill out the top form, right? You can step through, and when I complete it, as you can see here, the K4 form for Kentucky employees, I've already filled it out to the check mark. Our HR team steps all new employees through this process. They have to read and sign our administrative code. There it is. They have to have an emergency contact form. They have to read and sign the email and internet usage agreement, right? All these different things that they have to do to be onboarded. All of that paperwork, once they hit submit, goes to our HR team and gets filed away in the employee's personnel file. You got it right. It's not paper here, right? It is all going to be stored in Global Search. So let me pull up where that is, if I can find the right button here.
Employees is
So here you can see our I-9s. They fill those out inside. Now you can search by name if you wanted to, but you don't have to. You can keyword search if you wanted to. Whatever way, it's the same utility, right? So you can see the I-9s are here, right? And they're stored. And they're stored there for the entire team. Now, another step inside of Global Search that you should be interested in is the retention policy. You can actually go through and set a retention policy on it and set a date. So we do this a lot with contracts. We'll have the contracts come in electronically. And then say it's a 5-year contract, the system will automatically set the date is supposed to be destroyed based on that date that it was signed, right? And that data then moves to an archive they call to be deleted. That allows our employees to actually go through that folder and verify those things should be deleted. Then they fill out the appropriate archives and libraries form to destroy that data. They delete it, destroy it, just like they always do. So all of that employee data is there. Let's go down here. Employee resources. We do pay stubs, electronic pay stubs. So every employee's pay stubs are there for them to come back in, log into, and find. So if you use the FiscalSoft system, which a lot of counties probably do that are on this call, we have an integration into FiscalSoft where the system will come through, take that PDF of the pay stubs. If you've used FiscalSoft, you know that you can't reprint it. Well, we print it to a big PDF. Global Search picks it up, breaks it into individual PDFs, finds their employee number and their email address. We send them an email copy, and then we store it. They could also log into Global Search if they wanted to and find copies of their pay stubs there as well. So employees really like that one because it makes it a whole lot easier for them. All right, so that's a little bit about the HR system. Hire to retire. We can actually bring them in electronically, push them through the process electronically. We can actually retire and fire them electronically as well. We don't touch any paper. Manage employees, another kind of cool table that we have developed here, where you have access to all of your employees. We'll let this load here. So you can see all of our employees. Now, keep in mind, this is the IT side of it. So you're going to see everything. But if I was just logged in as just a department head, I would only see the people that are assigned to me. So you can see I'm here. I'm a supervisor, and I'm supervised by Jonathan Taylor. Here's one of my employees. I'm his, supervisor. This all plays into the whole thing of now, even on an HR side of it, we're doing our employee evaluations through all electronic. The department heads get in here and they can assign themselves to the employees, the supervisors. They can do a whole organizational chart of there, the people that fall underneath of them. We do 3 coaching sessions and a final, and our employees pop into this portal and they complete their steps. Now you can see here we can separate an employee of somebody, we can change their status, we can change the details. Somebody says, hey, I moved, we can kind of initiate that process through here by editing their details, change their address, update their bank draft, whatever it may be, right? All that kind of stuff is inside of the HR tools platform that we have developed, which is very exciting when you talk about the various programs. Many of you probably heard of Excella. Excella has something close to it, or a Civics Plus has something very close to it. Those systems range from $20 to $30 to $40,000 depending on the number of users you have. So when you start talking about, I got to have Excel to do this, I got to have this program to do that, I got to have a program down the road department to do that, and I got to have a program over here to do this, it's very, very expensive very, very quickly. This system, again, is under the global search system. So there's one maintenance there. And then you have the tracks platform, which you're kind of looking at here, which is the other maintenance. So you have these two pieces to this one big puzzle that kind of puts it all together. And your end users, your employees and your citizens can interact in this portal and they're used to it. So it doesn't matter what department you go to in Madison County, they see this same layout and everything operates the same. It makes it very good for cross-training. It makes it very good when you have employees move from one department to the other. One of the other things that we have done that we really kind of like is animal tracks. This is where the payment portal that Mitch was talking about came in. Being able to take a dog license and apply online, do that PCI compliant, allowing the citizen to file it online, allowing them to renew it in the building if they want to. Our process to adopt an animal out of the animal shelter was very, very long, and it was lots of paper. So we worked very hard to figure out how to do that electronically and to do it where folks can do it online. So you can see here, I'm kind of acting as the employee that is the director of the animal shelter. When she logs in, she gets this awesome dashboard right up here immediately. This is all customizable. And you can see on here, currently there's 73 dogs that are inside our shelter and 11 cats. They've adopted 3, euthanized none, and released 4 for some special reason. They currently have 9 open complaints, and they've closed 363 complaint calls this year. Some pretty impressive work. So field work, they can open a complaint call. So the phone calls and somebody says, hey, I want to complain about my neighbor and their dog. Well, here you go. And they have a status of the actual field crew that is out in the field. When they get on scene and they do their analysis of what's going on, they can actually go in here and set a status. They add details to the call, all kinds of things. They can set these calls on pending litigation or pending legal responses. If you actually leave a note, you can see these, we have them in there. And then we have the kennel management tool. So we start the animal intake process, again, a global form, right? So you can come here what kind of, and based on what kind of animal it is, it asks you different questions. Another cool feature is that our pickup locations are actually tied to our GIS. So we have an interface to GIS systems. So if you have a GIS system in place, this is pulling the data right out of our GIS system. So there is no way to misspell the road name or the address. It is all right there. So basically they fill that out. We store that paperwork in global search. And what it does is then brings them to this table. You can see adoptable animals. So here is that data of those 70 animals that are adoptable. You can see them all here. They can euthanize them from here. They can give them shots. They can change their data. They can update their kennel card. They print these out and stick them on the actual cages so they have the data. You can view a photo of the animal if they've taken it. They can take a new one if it's changed and update it as they go. And what's cool is when they change this photo here, it automatically updates what's on the website. So if you go to our website, the moment those folks at the animal shelter make those pets adoptable, they show up on our website. Just like this. So here's Virgo. Get out of the menu. I can click on Virgo, see a little better picture, get a little more detail about him. I can go back. This is all automatic. Before, they were having to manually come onto the website, create an article, upload a picture, type all the stuff every time. Nope, not anymore. They do this inside the animal track system. They add the picture, they update into the information they need to know about the dog or cat, and it's all on there. What they do is they can pull that dog up by its number or its name, and they click Adopt Now. When they click Adopt Now, there's actually a system in place that our folks that come into the animal shelter have to log in first. So what they do is, first step when you come to the animal shelter is you don't sit, you stand at an iPad and you type in your name, address, and some basic information about you. It allows us to keep information about who's coming into the animal shelter and gives us that legal waiver of they understand the fighting and all that kind of stuff. And you have to be over 18 to come back or be accompanied by an adult. All that kind of legalese that's in there is on the iPad. They sign their name and put in their basic information. What that does for us is it no longer makes the adoption process long because we just come here and select a customer. Well, today, there's no customers that have been through there because I don't think they actually open until 11. But if I were Chris Israel and I sat down with that iPad and I typed my name and stuff in and went back and looked at dogs, I decided I wanted to adopt Toby. I come back out and say, you know what, I'm ready to adopt Toby. They'll say, great. They click my name on here and it's going to fill out all my information about that I had typed in there, my name, my address, and all that kind of stuff, and allow me to actually push that off. So you can see here we can administer the shots as well. Then come here and start typing out the name of the dog or cat. So cilantro, they can do all that. And again, I don't want to get too far in the weeds. I just kind of want to show you its capabilities. If they are on the phone, they can file a complaint right here. So you call in, you make your complaint. You could do the pending legal responses. You can see who's adopted. And then we have a statistics portal as well. Because obviously now that we're collecting all this data, we want to do something with it, right? And for us, data is king, and we want to know everything about data. In Madison County, jurisdiction is very important. We want to know what jurisdiction the animal was picked up in. So we can just say 2022, and we'll run it to, I don't know, canines that were picked up in the county. And it's broke. That's awesome. We won't show you that then. Why's that broke?
Might have been an issue with the date there.
Could have been. We'll skip past it though. Let's see here. So we got donations. Let's go here real quick and show one other thing, because I think Mitch likes it when I talk about the online payment portal, which everybody is. So in Madison County, it's $5 plus tax to get your dog license. And a way to get people to actually renew those licenses is to make it easier, because the ordinance does require that every dog has a dog license, right? And what we found was very hard to get them to come to the animal shelter out in the middle of the road out there, right, and pay their $5. We've seen a greater adoption of that since we've implemented the online form, because they can just come on here and put the information in. This has a lot of work that can be done to allow that to be renewed. It's just not there, but that's kind of the evolution of the system. So they can come here, put in their name, their address, all the information. I better put some stuff in here because it'll help us as we step through here. So don't mind me as I type. We will get through this quickly. Don't steal my personal email. Again, this is the same kind of system. It's going to look back into the GIS system and find the actual road, because we don't want people misspelling names, because that makes your data hard to come across, right? Looking for Hedgewood Lane and somebody spelled it incorrectly. Yes, my billing is the same as that. You talk to your information about, I'm just going to put me, put in your information about it, and you fill out the basic details here. Very quick to do. You choose spay, unaltered, whatever it may be. You can put in the pet's microchip number if there is one, and I don't want to add another one. So I come down here and declare under perjury that the information is true and accurate. I can donate by rounding up. You can see here that the form has already calculated my processing fee and everything to go through there. And then I'm presented with, do you want to pay by credit card? Do you want to pay by e-check? This is where the Fiserv portion of this all comes in. The connector that Simply Paperless built inside the Global Form and Global Search Square 9 platform that's completely integrated. It's PCI compliant, which means that the credit card companies are not going to come after you. And why that's important is because there are lots and lots and lots of rules around processing credit cards. You do not want to process credit cards on your county or city networks. It's a terrible idea. You can do it, but there are lots of restrictions, and you better have the IT folks and staff in place to be able to manage and mitigate those things. And it is very difficult to do. You do not want to do it. So this solution is actually PCI compliant. No transaction takes part on Madison County's network. It all takes place on the Fiserv end of it, and the payment comes right through here. We'll step through it real quick, and it shows up in a back-end portal for our finance team to see that those were actually received. You get the ability to cancel the payment for some reason it was incorrect, the whole thing. The customer, again, in the government world, the counties cannot pay the fees to process, because you cannot provide that convenience at a cost to another citizen that does not want to use that convenience. So the processing fees have to fall on the citizen, not the county. You can't just raise your dog license by 3%, right, and then bill them for that. But if I pay with check, I'm still paying the 3%, right? That's what they mean by applying that convenience to somebody else, right? So this system takes that 3%. It never touches a county bank. The transaction never touches the county network. Yet it's still inside my global search system, and I still get all the data passed to me to know what it was. So it's very simple. I click the Pay with Credit Card button. The modal pops up. This is all Fiserv, all completely PCI compliant. It pulls in the information from the form about what I was doing. I type in my credit card number, my CVV, and the number. I hit I'm not a robot. Boom. The payment comes through. The county's notified on this side that the payment has come through, and we go through that. We're doing that with electrical permits, building permits, HVAC permits, business licenses, abandoned property registration, dog licenses. What's the other stuff? I think
Net profit.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We haven't even touched on that. Net profit, occupational taxes are all paid. I can show you that real quick because that's another good one that people like. That all comes in there. And again, all that data is stored on the back end of Global Search and is accessible through the Tracks program. So we're going to step back out of here real quick and show you what the business license looks like. So this is another one that people really get excited about because there's not a lot of people doing it online. And if they are, it's very expensive to implement. So you can apply or renew your business license. If you're applying, you click apply and you fill out the form and you can make your payment online. That's exciting. You also can renew online. Now, Simply Paperless happens to be a Madison County company, which is awesome. So we'll just type in Simply, and then we can roll down here and we'll find, I'm going to type, there's apparently more Simply than I'm aware of. Let's search here. So there he is. He can renew online or renew by mail. I can't wait to get rid of this blue renew on by mail thing because I don't like it because it just requires more work on our teams to then process the actual paperwork when it gets mailed in. But there are certain instances where some companies just can't apply online. So Simply Paperless could renew his business license online by clicking the button. It pulls everything it knows about Mitch's business back into here. He fills out, we require them to update. Same thing. When he gets down to this thing, he's going to get presented with the credit card option or the e-check option. The credit card option at this point is a 3% negotiated rate, 3% of the total transaction that the citizen pays. E-check, even better, because when you start talking about electronic payments of building permits, electrical permits, you start talking about occupational taxes and net profits for businesses, 3% is going to get pretty expensive for them. The e-check is actually a flat 65-cent fee. So it doesn't matter if that check was $40,000 or $40, it's 60 cents. It's either 60 or 65. Bitch, you remember what it is?
I think 65.
65. We're going to roll 65. It's either 60 or 65 cents per check, which if you're talking about a $40,000 check, it's going to save you a lot of money. And all you got to have is your driver's license number, your social security number they put in there to verify at the bank, and you put in your routing and checking number. Bada bing, bada boom. So you're not writing a check. We're not having to deal with the check. That money all comes in there. Again, it's the same portal, the Snap Pay portal, which we will get into later in life when we start talking about other things with you guys. As we kind of roll these demos out, we can show that kind of detail. But just to know you can do that, all that's there. It's the same process. If you want to pay your net profits quarterly or your other stuff, our businesses can come here, file or pay your occupational taxes. We tell our people the online method is the preferred method of filing, because all that data is already populated for them, brought in. We're not retyping it and pulling out paperwork to get right back in there. So they can click on here. You see the same interface. We really like to make sure that the citizens, when they're dealing with things, see it the same way over and over again. So it's very easy for them to learn. I'm going to type in Simply Paper again, just to kind of shrink that down. And here again, they can file online, file by mail. And you can see here, they can file the net profit occupational tax or do the reconciliation. So we can say net profit. Here we go. Bring up this again, a global form. They're all global forms. The global forms is the mechanism really to get data into the system, and global search is your filing cabinet. So here you can see Simply Paperless. He can fill in whatever information he needs to fill out. As he puts in his dollar amounts, it's auto filling out the forms he can fill out. To make this much easier, he can attach his schedules or any returns he wants to. He signs and dates it, puts in his billing information, and as soon as he gets to this part, that credit card form will pop up again, and he can pay by credit card or e-check. So all of that happens online very quickly.
An important point about these forms is that they all kind of work the same, right? They're all the upstream of a process. So any business process that's driven by someone or an individual completing a form, submitting a form starts that process. It tables that data in SQL so that it can be reutilized. It creates a document, stores it within Global Search, and then sends out alerts via our workflow engine to whomever needs to review and approve or lay eyes on that document. You may have noticed in the both the employment application and the tax form that Chris just had up, links inside those forms to upload additional documentation. So things like, you know, my resume that's attached, anything that needs to be uploaded within a form, you've got the ability to do that. And then those associated or supporting documents can be filed with that form, or they can be filed separately from that form, but we're capturing the index information through the completion of that form. And so any of those fields can be utilized for search and any of those pieces of data can also be tabled in SQL and reutilized elsewhere. And kind of along those ends, and as we're approaching 11 o'clock, maybe we could pull up your road tracks dashboard. I want to give them a couple of ideas about how just users within the community utilizing forms, right, and completing electronic forms rather than paper forms not only speeds up processes, but it also gives us access to data. And we've done excellent work here within Madison County, giving them dashboards so they can kind of make decisions easier. One of those is a very sophisticated ticketing system within their IT department, within their road department, visibility into what's happening in the here and now. And then the processes that we've taken a look at, such as employee onboarding, the paying of taxes, the adoption of animals, are also very applicable with how the road department works. And maybe just a couple of references on your wins there. A couple of stories that I'd like to hear are one about how the fuel is allocated and validated against, and then the disaster relief and as it's associated with FEMA relief.
Yeah, perfect. So the dashboard, this is actually what we call the judge's dashboard. So when he logs in or the deputy judge logs in, they actually have this resource right at their fingertips, and they can see here live the open requests by month to the road department. And the same thing for IT. Mitch was talking about fuel. You can see here how our fuel usage, 58.9% of our fuel usage is diesel. Imagine that. And then you can talk about where we're getting it from. We're getting it from road south, road north, or we're getting it from another source. And then we have what department is using the most fuel. And right now it is the road department, and solid waste uses the next. So how do I get that data? Every road department employee that drives a truck for us fills out a pre-inspection form when they start the day. They take their tablet out, they walk up to their truck, they log in and open up the form. And when they do that, they start answering a series of questions about the ability of the truck at that moment. Are the tires the appropriate pressure? We're checking the oil, we're checking all the things on the CDL list that we need to check so that they can be safe when they're on the road. One of the other things is did you get fuel? If they hit yes, they call in on the radio and they say, hey, I got 12 gallons of fuel. They record that on their paperwork, which is how they get this data. And then our team goes out with, at this point, with a manual dipstick, and they check the levels in the tanks, and then they compare what's in the tank versus how much was used. And those numbers should be fairly close. And that's how we mitigated a fuel problem that we had here in Madison County. Was we were unable to account for the fuel. It seemed like all of a sudden a lot of fuel was being used. We weren't sure where it was going. It was probably going to somebody's car, whatever it may be. This system stopped that very quickly because they knew they were being accounted for. It was being accounted for in the form. It was being accounted for as they radioed in, and it was being accounted for as they were actually dipsticking. We are currently looking into a product that will automatically check the levels of your tank. It's a system that electronically does it. It would send that data back to our road department live on the fly, so we would have an accurate account of how many gallons are in each tank, and that data would then coincide with what you see here on the form. You can see here the fuel used by month. I wish we had the data from when it snows, because as you can see, it kind of climbs all the way through there. When we have a snow event, it's going to be way up there. And it just, like Mitch said, this gives people at the top end of the county and administration the tools to justify their decisions, right? Or make a decision because of the data that you have. Data's king. We all know that, right? And we use this sheet to give us the data. Again, our judge can pop right in here. You can see at any given moment how many dogs or cats are there, kind of keep up with the euthanization that were there. He could keep his pulse on the IT department, how many tickets are being opened and closed. You can see here we've closed 1,100 tickets since July, 34 this month, and there's currently 51 open. And you can kind of see this pie of where those tickets kind of roll, right? EMA CSEP's open 359 of those, 911's open 274. So because you're collecting that data from people as they're interacting with the system, you then get the tools on the back end to start making analytical decisions based on that information. Let's see, yeah. So that's kind of the end of that dashboard. We do have the ability, and this one's hard to show, and we'll have to show it in another webinar, because the road department one is so user specific, because The citizen fills out the complaint online about a stolen sign or a pothole or whatever it may be, comes into our administrative folks. Our administrative folks can turn that into a daily work order. Our folks fill out daily work orders for everything that they do. When they're doing that, they're telling us who's doing the work, what they used, like material-wise. Did they use number 9 rock? Did they use a culvert? Did they use a whatever it may be? Did they use a chainsaw? Did they use a trailer? Did they use a truck? Did they use a bulldozer? I could go on and on with all the things. When they fill out that form, they're going in there and saying, hey, I used one bulldozer for 2 hours, John drove a truck for 2 hours, and I used a ton of number 9 rock. You might say, well, who cares? Well, you probably care, because at the end of the day, you want to know how much it costs to fix that pothole, how much it costs to replace that culvert. And you probably don't have a great idea of the labor costs. So what is built into this road track system that we're talking about? When they manage the employees, we actually put their FEMA rate of what they're reimbursed, so we know exactly what the employee cost us per hour with rate of pay plus all their benefits. We know what every piece of equipment costs because we use the FEMA workbook, and we update those on the regular. Every time a new FEMA workbook comes out, we go into the system. The administrative people of the road department do go in and say, hey, you know, all our pickups are now 5250. They're no longer 5150 by the hour, whatever it may be, or the chainsaw. That's awesome because as they fill out that form, it's doing all the math in the back end that they don't know about and giving us a cost. We know what that cost in totality was to repair that road. Mitch mentioned FEMA. We had an ice storm not too long ago. We had an onboard form that our citizens actually went online and they reserved themselves a spot to have debris picked up. We took that data, integrated again with our GIS system, and created a route and said, okay, we'll be here on these days to pick up your debris. And as we're through that process, we found out that FEMA would reimburse us for the ice storm, right? We hit the threshold of $300,000 or whatever it is to get you into that where it'll be reimbursed. Well, we already had all the data. So if you guys are very familiar with that process, it's a very long and tedious process to prove what you did, how you did it, and what you paid. And in Madison County, we spent many weeks trying to figure out after the fact, right, on most of our reimbursement of trying to figure out who was there, how long they were there, what's their rate, what truck did they drive, how much were they supposed to get for that one. This system takes care of that, and it takes care of it on a daily basis. So yes, we built it for a FEMA purpose so that if we needed to get reimbursed, we've already got the data and we can pull it right out. And we did that during the ice storm. Every guy that went out in the field and picked up debris used a tablet in their truck. They answered the questions on the form, closed out the call. How many hours were you there, minutes were you there, whatever it may have been, right? And what truck did you use? We had the exact cost calculated. All that data got exported, imported into the FEMA form, and we sent it off. We were done in less than 7 days. Mind you, we've had months where we had years worth of data that people still were trying to get reimbursed for because it's very hard to get that data. We do that on a daily basis for our judge and our road department so that they know every repair and what it costs. FEMA has a pretty good handle on what that equipment costs to run and keep maintenance. That's why they have the pricing, right? So we use all that data. The next step of that, which we'll get down into in a later webinar, is that data actually is fed to an online map. Our road administrator can actually pull up a map, click on a road, and he'll be able to see the work orders that they completed on that road. So when a concerned citizen comes in and talks about how their tax dollars are not being spent on their road or vice versa, whatever it may be, we can actually pull up those work orders, show them the data, what they did, when they did it, how they did it, and the cost of which it was associated with it. That's the power of the global search system and this tracks platform that we kind of built to sit on top of it. And you can see lots of things over here. And I hope this excites you a little bit to want to come back to the next webinar where we kind of will step down further into one of these topics and actually walk through the whole process. Mitch always told me when we started this, when it catches on, it's going to be like wildfire and you're not going to be able to keep up. And I thought he was a little crazy. He is a little crazy, but he was right. We started building things and people started using it, and it was like every day, it still is. There's a knock on my door or a phone call. Hey, can you help me with this process? Yes, because I have global search and Square 9 at my fingertips, and I've got this employee track system, the road tracks, HR tracks, animal tracks, whatever you call it, where I can take simple forms to ingest data, catalog that data into the database, put those forms and paperwork away in a secure location inside a global search where I can find them later if I wanted to as official paperwork. And then I can have all this data at my fingertips to start running analytics against it. And we actually did start something, and we'll just show you here real quick. When the treasurer's reports get reported every month, her credit report gets automatically scanned into the system. When it gets scanned into the system, it's reading values off of that, and it is filling, basically, we'll say filling this field out to show us our claims versus our expenses as they sit today. This is a transparency tool to our citizens to say, hey, here's where we are budget-wise and all these kinds of things. So you can kind of see where we are here. That's what we call the KPI dashboard, and they click on it through analytics here on our system. We have a transparency system. So you can click fiscal court. All those documents that you and I were just talking about at the very, very beginning of this webinar are available to our citizens right here. They can review this agenda. They can see the minutes if they want to, or they can see the video. Here you go. Here's one with a video. So they click this, it'll pop open, and they'll be able to see the agenda. It won't do it because I'm inside, but they actually would be able to. It looks just like this. Some of this is a little confusing because we're sitting inside the network that's hosting all of it. But basically, when they click that link, you've seen it before where the global search document actually pops up. It actually pops up right here for our citizens without logging in, and it's safe, secure, read only. Same thing with the minutes. So what we kind of heard feedback from our citizens was it was hard to find the agendas and the minutes because the agenda was posted here, 5 days early, and then the minutes were brought up 3 weeks late over here. And then where's the video that coincides with the minutes that I just read that was the agenda that you emailed me, right? We took care of that right here. All through the global search system because I'm already doing that. And I made this nice little GUI to go on top of it, right? We got Board of Adjustments, we got Planning Commission, we got resolutions and ordinances. Same way. This is all still in development for us, but you can see again, same thing, right? 2021, 2020, 2019, you can go all the way back through there. This gives citizens access to this data at their fingertips. This is not a live website, this is my demo. So it's not like they're getting broken stuff. But they can do animal services, which they can go in and see that, which we already talked about. You can adopt right through there. They can start the employment process. All these awesome things that they can do because of the global search system. Don't go to Google, right? But this is our development website where we're kind of developing those tools. So, Mitch, I kind of give you a last chance to maybe direct me in a place where you want me to talk about something before you close it out.
I think that's great. I always like to end a webinar when my craziness is brought to the forefront. So I think this makes a good spot. What we hope to accomplish with this initial webinar is to give folks that were interested a broad overview of what the application can do. And if you want to bring up your the main dashboard with all the different options listed to the left. So as you see by all the different elements there in the left-hand bar, a lot more to talk about than what we were able to cover today. We will start a new series of webinars beginning in the early next year that will focus on one thing at a time. So we'll do deep dives into HR. We'll do deep dives into the road track system. We'll do a deep dive into the business tracks, animal shelter, and more as time goes forward. But thank you all for your time today. Chris, if you wouldn't mind making me the host again, and the Deputy Judge Executive, Jill Williams, is with us today as well. And I'd like to give her an opportunity just to kind of speak briefly on how this has impacted her. And as she is speaking, I am going to dig into the names here for our Yeti and Rugged Road Cooler giveaway. Jill, if you have the mic.
Sure. Thanks, Mitch. I appreciate the opportunity to do so. Just from our perspective and from an executive perspective, it's been a real game changer. Having always been in the private sector, I was used to having data at my fingertips. I was used to performance improvement and process improvement and how we do things efficiently. And so you always hear the stories of, government's the last time to do things. So imagine my surprise when I joined the team 18 months ago and I saw what our team had built. And I was like a kid in a candy store because I drive Chris crazy. I'm like, oh, I've got this. We need to put this online. Global Search and Square 9 and Simply Paperless and this Tracks platform has allowed us to do that. whether it's, how we manage financial disclosure forms for our ethics board, and automating that process so that all of those people who were required, that goes out automatically. So the amount of time savings for my team is incredible, all the way to looking at the KPI dashboards and helping our department leaders make decisions based on data and facts. And that's how Judge Taylor and I run our administration. So when we pull up the dashboard and I get a call that talks about an animal complaint or a euthanization, I can pull up my dashboard and see, yes, we have 73 dogs currently in our shelter and we've euthanized 0. And so I can have real-time data to support that. We always like to tell the story of our road department, and who would have thought our road department would be the first ones that are carrying around tablets and talking about how they perform their duties every day, and they don't have wadded up pieces of paper in their truck with scratch notes like they were at the hardware store, but they have real life data. So when they get stopped, they're like, oh, this is the first time that you have ever done anything to our road. We can clearly pull up that road and say, actually there are 3 people who live on this road and we've performed this amount of maintenance. And we even tie that sometimes back from a data perspective to, hey, this is what we collect on property taxes from people who live on this road, and we've spent XYZ times that. So for us, it's taken a whole new approach because it's given us the tools to run our operation, our government, and for our 93,000 plus people here in Madison County better. So I can't say enough good things about how we use this from a management tool, from an executive tool, and from really being able to dive in and say, hey, here's how we're going to make decisions. A lot of our peers in our cities and, even across the state are a little overwhelmed because we're using this in such a way. And now we're also sharing it with our citizenry because they are actually able to input their complaints or their requests for service and how we're working for them every day. They can put it in directly, and then they can see the next stage for us is them being able to see all of our outcomes for each department. So I'm happy to answer any questions. If anyone wants to reach out to us at any time and ask how we use it or how it's really changed our operations, I'm happy to do so.
Thanks so much, Jill. And of course, all of you on the call today have got my contact information, and certainly send us emails with questions that you have, and I'll be following up with each of you individually as well. So